Hello, I thank you for coming today to share your oral history of your reflections and your recollections of your experiences while a student here at Chestnut Grove Elementary School. If you would, could we start out? Would you please state your name and please share with me the different schools that you attended?
I'm Leon Imes, and of course, I went to school here. I went to and graduated from Unity High School. And prior to coming to school here, I was in a private school in Indiana called Mount Pleasant Academy. It was a church school that my church was supporting, and my father was a minister. So that's where my two younger brothers and I went to school until we later came here.
Okay, thank you. All right, so how many years did you go to Chestnut Grove? Like what grades were you
Seventh
here?
and eighth grade.
Seventh, eighth grade. Are there any special memories of teachers or things that you reflect on today from your time here at Chestnut Grove
Yes.
Elementary?
Well, of course, when I went to school here, the seventh and eighth grade was in the same classroom. In this room we are in now, I think, was we're close to it anyway. Near it, there have been some changes made, however. But Junius Campbell was my teacher, and he was kind of like having my first episode of being back in public schools. He was almost like your hero because he did everything from coaching baseball, and I was sports oriented and all kinds of things. And he was fun with the kids, but he was also very strict and was interested in making sure that you got your classroom work done and that kind of thing. But he interacted very well with the students.
Okay, all right. So, can you tell me about a typical day, like what time you started and the different classes, and what took place on a typical day here at Chestnut Grove Elementary School?
Well, on a typical day, we got here, got off the bus, came into the classroom, and then, of course, if I'm thinking that there was some breakfast served or ability to get some breakfast here at the school. So if you were of a mind to do that, you could. And then the classes began. And when the classes began, you were in the classroom. You had various breaks as the class went on and as school went on. But it was a very I don't want to, the term conditioned is not a situation, but it was regimented, if you will, is the term I'm trying to say, a situation because everything was done with a strict order, and it was a good learning environment.
Okay. Did you take a daily pledge or oath or anything like that that you all did on a daily basis while you
Well,
were
I
in
think we
school?
did the Pledge of Allegiance, and of course, I think there was prayer done also. I'll have to think back because that's been a couple of weeks ago.
Okay. So, what subjects were taught, and what other activities did you participate in?
Well, activities. I was participating in sports, and we had a baseball team, and I enjoyed that sport. And in fact, when I went on to Unity High School, I played baseball there a little bit. And even when I went to North Carolina A&T State University, played a little baseball there. wasn't real good at it, but I enjoyed it. But anyway, then of course there was the classroom work and that kind of thing. As I said earlier, it was emphasis placed on that. And in those days, there was competition among the classmates too because you looked at a classmate and that classmate was being bragged upon for doing well in the class, so you wanted to get that same attention. So what you did was you worked very hard to get that attention. It instilled the desire to get a good education. And then there were extracurricular activities. I was involved with speaking, and I don't know if it was as a result of the fact that my father was a minister, but I was, and having gone to a church uh, supported private school before, that may have contributed to it, but I was involved in speaking and actually won some awards for my speaking while I was still here at Chestnut Grove Elementary School.
Hey, all right. So, did your time here, you mentioned you went to North Carolina A&T, so that's
I
another
did.
school you attended. Um, can you share with us what major and what career choice you made after school?
I had a couple of situations with when I was going to North Carolina A&T. I started off majoring in electronics technology and wanted to do something in that field, and it served me well because of the fact when I got out of there, got drafted in the military immediately and served in Vietnam, of course, and I that kept me out of being a foot soldier, albeit it put me in a situation where that I was doing some highly technical things that were even more dangerous because we had high security clearances. I had a top secret security clearance because of what we did, plus the fact that put us in some very dangerous situations. So having gone to A&T and studied in that field did help me in getting into that.
Okay, all right, thank you. So, when you were here for those 2 years here at Chestnut Grove Elementary School, it was a segregated school. Was there any discussion in your classes? Did people talk about it being a segregated school, or was it just
There was always questions about it, but in those days, people just simply said, "Well, that's just the way it is," and that's the way it was. But there were efforts being made at that time to change those things. And I recall very vividly when the superintendent or somebody of that nature would come around, it was all spit and polish. If you knew when he was coming in, and apparently they did, the communications line was passed right on down from Unity High School to all the Rosenwald schools in the county. And therefore, it was known the superintendent is going to be in your school today, and it better be ship shape or we got a problem. And so everybody knew that, and that was always done.
mm, right? Can you tell me about the books that you had then? Did they get new books in the Rosenwald School that you attended?
No, ma'am, we did not. Uh, there were, I can't recall when I was in elementary school ever getting a brand new book because I can recall getting books that were passed down by the students. And, you had to sign your book because you were responsible for that book after you got it. And if you got it, it was damaged when you turned it back in, you paid for that damage, even though it was damaged when you got it. And from time to time, there were names of people in those books that you never heard of, but you'd hear that name from Mr. So and so somewhere in our county, and so you knew about that, and so that was some of their children's books. But books were passed down at that time.
So did the books come from the other schools that weren't Rosenwald schools, you think?
Don't know that they came. I'm not sure where they came from at that time. Of course, I was not that interested in it. I was more interested in and focused on getting out of Chestnut Grove Elementary School so I could go on to the big Unity High School.
Okay. All right. Was there any discipline that was used during that
Oh
time?
yes, discipline was very much used when it was necessary. However, it was a situation, and talking about the guy that was the teacher here, and he was also the principal of the school because the principal taught a class. But see, we were the ones that were near getting out, so he taught the big kids, if you will. And there was discipline if need be. There was a strap he used that he would use on you if he needed to, and you knew that, and those who had experienced that passed along that didn't feel too good, so you tried to avoid that. He never used it on me because I stayed out of it. Plus the fact that I knew that if he did, and my parents found out again about it, I was gonna get another when I got home. So I made sure that didn't happen.
Okay. All right. Do you recall what type of bathroom facilities they had at the time that you came to school?
There were bathrooms here, if memory serves me correct, and indoor bathrooms. Mhm.
Oh, okay. So when you heard about that we were going to be doing oral histories for Chestnut Grove Elementary, what were your thoughts about that?
Well, two things. One, I only went here 2 years, and two, trying to make sure that I remembered things that would be interesting to somebody. And as I go back and as I look at that the situation, sometimes it's difficult to remember all those things because there were good things and some bad things that happened because but the bad things, the good things outweigh the bad things, and so therefore you have good thoughts about it. And I had good thoughts about having gone to school here.
All right. Is there any other thing that you would like to share? Because this will go down in history. This will be on the World Wide
Mhm.
Web forever. And so your legacy and different people that you know, friends and family, will be able to look back on this interview. Is there anything else that you would like to share about your experiences here?
Well, one of the things that I would like to share, especially coming from a private school and going into the public school system, it was quite difficult for me initially because you have a whole different setting, especially with a church supported school, which centers on religion and some other things too, which involved education, of course. But the fact is that I was devastated, not devastated, but I was amazed at what I was able to see and what was going on. And I thought, wow, when I was in private school, we got in the classroom, we sat down, and we didn't say anything unless we were asked something specifically. Well, you got in public schools, and kids interacted with each other and talked with each other and competed with each other. And here at Chestnut Grove School, I think the competition among the students was great because you looked at students that were getting good grades and you said, wow, they're getting praised for their effort, and I need to do that as well. So I remember that very well. And the other thing that I remembered, I just had one teacher here who taught me the 2 years. Same teacher, Junius Campbell, and I'll never forget him as long as I live because he had a very definite effect on me and what I was doing because he kept saying, "Well, you can do it, Ijames. I know you can. I know you can get this done." And so that was encouraging, and I remember that very well. And then again, playing some sports, you're getting in the competition with the students there, and just meeting new and different people was a great thing. And at that time, kids became very close to each other. You knew everything about everybody, and you knew who they were, their cousins, and everything, where they went to church. And at that time, church was very important to young kids because that was like a you were cool if you had a church you could go to, in the right church. You were cool. So that was impressive to me as well.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time to share your recollections. Thank you very much.